Are you Harlem shaking?
Yeah. Yo, from the HR. From the HR. Ya nasty
So,
niggas coming for you.
question.
We come
If
for you, nasty niggas.
so, question. If we ever did a music video, how would you vision it?
Oh, we gotta have like all our wrestling friends in there. Every single one of them have to be in there. Like, and yo, I want everybody that we know who love wrestling just to be in there. Like, I want just like a few shots of in the studio, and then you see Martizi rapping. It's just like corniness like that. You feel me? And I wanna like basically like Janelle from the HR. I want a sense of unity in the video. I want everybody who helped us to this point to be in the video. The video might be, it might be like the ending. It might just be dancing. I want like a
Well,
real '90s feel.
he did say he would. If we did a music video, he would write more lyrics to the song.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Like I want him. Like I want the sense of like the blend of wrestling culture. So like someone like Chuck Daddy, put him in the video. My son Owen, aka Ace Andrew, put him in the video. You feel me? Like I want everybody we know to get burned because it's beyond us. We build a platform to the point where like we try to help everybody. Whoever want to be against us, okay, take away yourself. At this point, like I'm not here to make moves for no enemies. Like you may not like me, but you like Janelle or my brother. Either or, you're helping the brand. So at the end of the day,
I don't think you're the most unliked person of the trio. So I think you're
no,
okay.
I just mean in general. Like
No, I know. I'm just
like
messing with you. But speaking of Montez, do want to send a special shout out birthday to him. He just celebrated his birthday this past week. So happy birthday. Many, many
cancer
more.
season. My fellow
Oh
cancer.
Lord, cancer season is in full effect. Mr. Black's birthday's coming up. What do you want for your birthday?
Um, to me, anything that people want to give me, just give me it. I ain't picky.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that
I'm
helps.
grateful.
That definitely helps
Well,
the
well, if
situation.
we really want to narrow it down, like something either in like something in like nerd culture, something in nerd culture. Like I'm really big on that. Like a pop, a Power Ranger toy. Like I would love that. Like a Green Ranger dagger. Hmm. I could summon the dragons on.
Wow.
Mm-mm-mm.
We're summoning Dragons now. Well, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Jobber Nation quarantine episode 20,698
This is the last one. This is the
of the
last
Jobber
one. We're coming
Tears
out of quarantine.
podcast. And
Move your
this
move your
actually
thing to the move your thing.
me.
Yeah, move it
Is
towards
is
the
this okay?
a little bit more. Perfect.
I was gonna say any more. It's like all the way past me, but as Mr. Black mentioned, this will most likely be our last episode on quarantine version of the Jabba Taste podcast because we will do our studio return next week, God willing, because Corona has different plans sometimes. So we are, happy to
It's
go back.
Florida,
Shout out to
man.
Cats. Shout out to Cats and Dogs podcast. Lawrence and Tati that just recorded their new episodes, so make sure to check that out. Also, Your Sports has a new episode, so make sure to check that out as well. Anything else before we go? What's going on with you guys? How's your week? What have you been watching? All of that
Uh,
jazz.
I finished watching Space Force, and
You mean the shit on A&E where people fight over spaces?
no, what?
Oh,
That's Space. No,
is that not the
that's
same?
Storage Wars. That's Storage
Oh,
Wars.
no, I feel like they have one close.
No,
Whatever.
Space Force is space
Oh,
travel.
Force. Oh.
Yeah, so I watched it. It's pretty good. It's kind of like a lot of alarming stuff. You go like, what the hell? Like one of the things that they said, they was just like it was one of the episodes. Like, they was talking, and they was just like, yeah, every year the post office give out a particular stamp, which they do. And he was just like, yeah, he asked like they still do that, right? He's just like the guy looked at him and was just like, um, How you think that we fund this Space Force? And I was just like, dang, this is way too predictable. You know, like, dang. I was like, dang. I've been watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yo, watching it from the beginning, you realize that a couple of things. In the 90s, they made it seem like 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds look like grown men. And when you do the research, they're like 21, 25. They have whole kids. Like, dog, you fooled me. I'm thinking that in high school, I'm going to have a full beard. I'm going to be mad muscular. No. When I look at my high school, I look like, yo, I look like a kid. Yo, these, whatever. But a lot of people I'm learning that, yo, like, it's basically an evolution. Like, Will is culture shock. Like, he literally came from Philly to Bel Air, and he really had a he went from a mixture of boys and girls school, like boys and girls, to like an all boys school. You feel me? He went from doing chores to Butler doing that, and you realize that he really is out of his element. And throughout the whole show, you realize he never really gets comfortable in Bel Air. Like a lot of the culture shifts around him as the show continues on. And you realize that Carlton evolved throughout the series too. And you realize he evolves to the point with more self-aware that, dang, he took the flip role from Will. You know, he was forced to adapt living in Jaz's apartment. He was forced to adapt realizing that he's not quote unquote black enough. He's like, no, I am black enough regardless of my skin complexion. How he was when the cops first arrest him to the end of the series, night and day. So I've definitely been watching those.
Got you. Sir Wilkins, what have you been watching this week? What's going on?
No, I just been continuing watching Watchmen for a while. Just still watching that. I've been watching old Undertaker matches, my favorite ones.
Ooh.
Like Judgment Day when he came back. I watched when he won the title at Survivor Series against Hogan. I watched that one. I watched the Inferno match that we talked about like an earlier podcast.
Yo,
so I've just been doing that.
That I'm telling you, that build up to even that Inferno match is so dope. Like if you watch the Raws before it, because that was what we talked about with Simon Miller when we said when Kane brought out the two caskets, it was supposed to be Undertaker's parents, it was supposed to be their parents. That was on the road to that match, that pay per view. It was wild.
I watched it.
This week, before I get into what I've watched this week, I do want to give a special shout out to Urban Combat Wrestling, who joined us last week on the Jabba Tears podcast. They had their show this past weekend in Asheville, North Carolina, and I just was blessed to go. So I seen wrestling for the first time in like 3.5 months. So it has its highs, it has its lows, but it was the purpose of the show was for the community and to see honestly kids of color love watching it, being front row, like enjoying it, chasing the wrestler away from the ring. Like it was some real hood shit, but it was so good.
So what about like the project? Is the project like our project or is it like
No, they projects first of all, it's like houses. I was like, this is a project? It's weird. But the yard was like the projects. Like the project lights don't come on. Like people selling dope in the projects, all type of shit.
smoking, watching
But
wrestling?
smoking, watching wrestling, yep, playing
My
basketball.
kind of
So
place.
it was
My kind
really
of place.
it was really good. So shout outs once again to Mook and Spaceman for having that event, and it was free for the community. And it just was a really good atmosphere to do something like that for for the community. So I applaud them 10 times for that. So it was really good to go down there this past weekend, see some of the Java Tier South members too. Well, we celebrated Tommy's birthday, so shout out to Tommy.
We
But
need a
this
logo for
week
them.
we do like some
I come up with
territory type
one.
shit. It's pretty dope. But this week, what did I watch? I watched an old Nitro. It was the Nitro after Hog Wild '96. And Macho did this wild promo against the Giant. It was the wildest shit I've ever heard. So I watched that. I watched a old Raw. It was a '99. It was the Raw before Armageddon, where Vince and Triple H faced each other, and Stephanie turned on her dad. So I watched that Raw. And then I started watching this new show. It's actually a Vice show, and I think you guys will like it. It's called Hate Thy Neighbor.
Oh, I've been on that. I've been on that. I
So
saw
it's
with the
on
beard.
Hulu. Yeah. So it's a comedian guy. He's from Europe. He's European. Well, he's like half black, half white. So he's a comedian guy from Europe, and he basically goes to different parts of the world
Mm-hmm.
and like interviews and talks to like hate groups, basically, like legit.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
first
I've seen that. Yeah.
so, so the first episode I watched was basically the Nazi party in Pennsylvania with the KKK clan, and he was like, "So I can't come to the party?" And they were like, "No." He's like, "Will you guys attack me?" And like, we don't want to get into that. It was like, whoa, like so he does. So he did. So it was that first episode, and the second episode I watched was about the Black Israelites, and that shit is intense. That's a whole different level of
You know what you should
fuckery.
watch? It's the show on Netflix. It's the Killer Mike show, and it's very similar to that, but it goes very more in depth into it. Like one an episode, like he finds he finds his own religion. It's called his own church called the Church of Sleep, and that episode is really powerful because it really enforces falling asleep and the importance of sleeping. And another episode, he started his own colony with all black people. Yeah, like yo, listen, type in Netflix, Killer Mike. I think called, I forgot it's called. There's Killer Mike, and there's one episode he can only eat from black people, and man, like he couldn't get weed, nothing. I think that one part he said, "Yo, man, like he was like a whole day. If it's not all about black people, you can't use it." So that it's called.
So how
I
was he
forgot what it's
not
called,
able to
but
get weed? I'm so confused by that.
because you know the weed that the guys the black people get the weed from the dispensary, and the dispensary is owned by white people, and then
Well,
black people just
Oh,
in.
the episode was about him only fucking with black businesses.
That's what I
okay.
That
said.
was that was the whole. You just said black people. It was like he couldn't go to black businesses. Like if it wasn't a black business, he couldn't go there. So he started starving because there's not enough places for him to eat. Mind you, he was in Atlanta too. It was wild.
Wild. Well, so before we get started, shout out to Uber Eats because they specifically until the end of the year you can get Uber Eats from black owned businesses and it's $0 for delivery fee. So just keep that in mind.
Dang. Okay, so I'm about to go look for black businesses.
Which
Dang,
is
it
pretty
looks like
dope.
they pandering, but okay.
I mean, listen, they're showcasing. I wouldn't say pandering, I would say showcasing.
I mean, you know what? I don't want to get into that because you know what? It is the show for it. Like honestly, I'm cool with that, but at some point, I'm starting realizing like, what are you actually doing? Like, are you really making changes throughout your whole company? Meaning that, are you hiring real diversity? You know, some people just think that I've been saying this forever. Like, diversity is just hiring one black person. That you feel comfortable with what the general guide rules of a black person should be in the office. Perm hair, whatever guidelines that's very traditional. And I feel like true diversity.
All right, there we go.
Like,
And you know that if you say something, that person is going to be like, well, he knows this.
What's that?
That was my fault. My bad.
Go ahead.
got my point. All right, let's start the show. Come on.
So, before we do get into this week's Wrestling is Burning segment of the Java Tears podcast, I do want to talk about the last, because we didn't talk about it last week, the last 2 episodes of The Undertaker's Last Ride.
Bluetooth disconnected.
So,
Bluetooth pairing.
this past week, Chapter 5, which aired on the WWE Network, kind of, I don't know, it didn't leave me thinking that Taker was done. But we can go around and just quickly just say like what were your thoughts on the last 2 episodes of The Last Ride? Anybody
You want me to go first?
Sure.
I thought it was good. It set the tone. It really tied up everything of what his career was, and it was dope. It was just a dope ending to his career. And Homeboy's been wrestling for 33 years. That's a long ass time.
That is longer than I've
Like,
been alive. So
yeah, that is a long, long time. And what he's done for the business is just amazing. And I love how they went over what he became the American Badass, because that's still my favorite Undertaker. And
nah.
it, it was, that Undertaker was amazing, and nobody really gives him credit for that one. It, like, him debuting was dope. He had the fucking dope ass fucking theme song. He had Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock. Like, it worked. It worked. And when he came, I remember that day because I was watching that pay per view. I remember him coming back on that motorcycle, super
He's
excited. He
here.
helped.
He's here.
He, yeah, and he helped The Rock out, and then The Rock still lost.
That's
Because
wrestling for you.
he comes into the ring.
If you want someone to describe how racism works in America, that's a prime example. You can still have white allies, and we still be losing. There you go. Clearly,
Because before he comes in, it's an Iron Man match between Triple H and The Rock. A very good Iron Man match. Yeah, it's a very good Iron Man match, by the way. Like, really, really good. It's Judgment Day 2000. He rolls up, and then DX jumps in. I think Shane hits The Rock with a chair. And then on the Titantron, you see like the little kids, like the Wyatt kids, like, he's here. The crowd, the pop that man got that night was absolutely one of the best pops ever. It's second to John Cena coming back at Royal Rumble.
At the Royal Rumble.
It's second to that one. It's legit second to that one. But yeah, I like that.
No.
Yeah, I think they had it on like 2 nights ago. But yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good. I enjoyed it.
All right, Mr. Black, your thoughts. Do you think the dead man is done?
I mean, he said it himself. If Vince needs me, just yeah. So technically, he's just in case of emergency. So he said it on the DVD. He said it like, I'm retired, but if they need me, I'm coming back. Like,
but wouldn't that really be semi-retired?
Yeah, basically.
No wrestler retired.
No, look at fucking Ric Flair.
It's basically what the post office do, and a lot of like businesses. They like, if they like during the whole Corona, if they need you, they will call people who just at home, who just recently just retired. Like, if they need you, the America needs you, and it's something important like nurses, stuff like that, they're gonna ask you to come out of retirement. So basically, it's a case of emergency. And honestly, like I said before, like, I was right when I said that he, like, because of that, he was allowed to become Mark Holloway. And everything I said in a previous episode, if you go back, I said exactly the same exact thing. I was like, I said this. And again, to understand, nothing I've taken from it is what AJ never always was himself since day one. And because of that, he was able to just be a phenomenal wrestler. That's what I took from it, that he's so safe. Everybody loves to work with him, and he'll make everyone look good. Undertaker chose him. No, Undertaker allowed him to wrestle him. And the fact that Undertaker is still like part of the boys, he said, I tell AJ that I don't want to wrestle him.
Try to rib him.
Over someone. Yeah, and he still want to make the boys pop. And the fact that they call him for big man training, you saw all the big men from NXT basically there, and then just listen to him, just like, dang, it just felt like watching like old man Logan talking to the X-Men, like the next generation, you know. And you saw everybody in that room have taken something from Undertaker, you know, either from always carry yourself a certain way in and out the ring, basically never always being true to yourself and never be afraid to, you know, do something that a typical big man won't traditionally do, you know, because Undertaker's basically like the blueprint from that. What else? What else that I got from it is that Undertaker is definitely a family man. Like, he not a chance to grow up and help to raise his other kids, his son, but I don't blame him for retiring. Like, I have the opportunity to raise my daughter, like, from young. You understand? I have more time to enjoy it. I have the money, I have everything. And when he first started wrestling, too. When he first started wrestling, is if you didn't make the date, you didn't get paid. Now is, yo, yeah, all these perks. Just from not even being, he getting paid just for appearance, show up, choke slam. You know, that's kind of unheard of back in the day. They paid that much just to do one thing. So that alone, that 5-piece documentary is basically, I'm gonna end it off like this. It's basically, to me, everybody says Hogan's Jordan wrestling, John Cena's the Hogan of wrestling. I mean, the Jordan wrestling, The Rock. So it's definitely Undertaker, because he is what every professional wrestler, when you go to train, they always point to Undertaker like, yo, keeping your character alive and make sure that you protect your character. What wrestling is, a bunch of characters basically, basically in a predetermined sport. And what sell tickets? Being a character, being larger than life. And when people want to be the greatest, they always want to say, yo, be like Jordan. You know, how Jordan was able to define a generation. And because his blueprint where athletes for the future could make money, because of Undertaker, big man's able to just step out and just be more creative with themselves. And because of Undertaker, people like Luchasaurus, Bray Wyatt, other people with out the world characters able to exist in wrestling that make no sense, but in wrestling it makes sense. So Undertaker, in my eyes, he's the Jordan of wrestling.
Clap, clap, bravo. Because listen, I've been a Taker fan from day one. I'm sorry, but I will say I'm not buying a Mark Calloway shirt. That's out of the question. That's a dub. That I'm not doing. But I still stand by. So I have like 4 points. One, I still stand by Michelle McCool being the MVP of that whole series, because as a wife and someone that knows the business and was in the business, and to be able to support your husband through and through, you can wish for something better than that. 2 would be, I'm glad he brought up the Saudi with Goldberg and how disappointed he was, because he was pissed. And I definitely think the Saudi was the wake up call that he didn't think he needed, but that he got, because almost being that close to being paralyzed, like he's like, all right, I need to reevaluate. Like he went right in through Gorilla and told Vince, I need to reevaluate some shit, like straight up. And then the comeback with him and Roman at Extreme Rules in Philly was dope. Overall, Undertaker is the cornerstone of wrestling, period. Like the last 30 years, no matter how long and how far Taker's been, he's been around. And he's been monumental to a lot of different times in wrestling. Like I said, I don't think, y'all know I love Undertaker, so I don't want to let him go. But I definitely think the way that he went out this WrestleMania with AJ, kind of on that peak, and him riding out into the darkness and that being the symbol, I think he's in a space where he could walk away and know that he's good. And I love the fact that this documentary was over a few years. Like we're talking about from, I would say, the past 3-4 years they've been building. This has been the craziest buildup.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in the ending of it all, I can always appreciate Undertaker. I can always see that, you don't really know a good thing till it's gone. It's kind of how like John Cena, when people be shitting on Cena when he's around, but then when he gone, then when he come back, the pop that he gets is wild. So I definitely think if you have not watched The Undertaker's Last Ride, to do so. It definitely is a documentary to watch. It's definitely, whether you like Taker or not, it's just a really good way of looking at the life of someone who's towards the end of his career. You don't really get too many times to see that in wrestling, and they document it. So I think that's a big deal. But I wanted to start off the episode positive, because Taker is positive. Now we can transition into wrestling is fucking burning.
So we're not going to mention Kobe affecting Undertaker retiring?
You goddamn, you that was your cue. That was your point.
No, I'm just saying, nobody's gonna mention that. Like,
What
it
is it to mention?
literally.
Not to mention, we already know what's going on. We know what it is. Like at this point, like I don't want to talk about it because like we know it
No,
affected it,
no.
but
What I was saying is that is just that how big Kobe was.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
he mentioned it.
I thought you said COVID. I'm like, oh,
No.
I
Said
said
Kobe.
Kobe no
Cause in
about like
that,
how
cause
big.
in that scene, he throws to the I guess the garbage and says
No,
Kobe.
it's not that. It was the fact that he was like, yo, after Kobe's death and my brother's death, I had to reevaluate things.
Now his brother's death, that was hard. That I think the brother
mm,
death and then Michelle McCool's nephew dying within that 2 week span, that's a lot. And that will
Yeah,
really
because he
make you
was
sit and realize some shit.
because it but also it's also Kobe greatness is like how great Undertaker is in wrestling. When you're that good at something, you keep coming back. And you keep coming back. And then when he even said it, he was like, Kobe's death made me realize how short life is. Like he was
nope.
like, yo, life is short.
Well,
So
yeah, that's
seeing
why he gotta
that,
do.
and then seeing that, and then yeah, the death of his family, but it's also like you see another person on your level of greatness in their profession, they're gone.
Yeah.
So it really like affected him on that level. Like, yo, hey, Kobe died early this year, and then these two deaths back to back. I got to reevaluate things because Kobe has nothing to do with wrestling, and he mentioned that.
But I think just as sports in general and the way that everything kind of intertwines because you have basketball players that like wrestling, you have football players that like wrestling, you have I just think sports in general, no matter what type of sport, was affected by Kobe passing.
And I don't even. It's not even. It's not even. That's Kobe. It's not even a sport thing. It's a greatness thing. It's a man who literally, just like Mark Calloway, put his heart and soul into one thing. Like Kobe is the epitome of greatness, and that's who Mark Calloway is. My brother mentioned a bunch of cool points about Mark. The Undertaker, Kobe has done for the business, but at the end of the day, the business is the business. It will still be there when you die.
Oh, that shit
So
will definitely move on.
a lot of times you have to reevaluate who you are and what's going on. And I think it's bigger than just sports. It's just
I
like
guess life in general, it'll make you just
yeah,
reevaluate some shit.
yeah. Because a lot of people that I know who don't even really watch basketball is like, yo, what the fuck? That's just happened because of how great he was and the bigger than he was bigger than basketball at one. To be honest,
Well,
and
yeah.
that was such a point that was so poignant in that doc to me. It was such a little thing he said, but he mentioned it, and I was like, holy shit! Like Kobe just affected somebody who does, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we know what you mean.
No, I get it. But we're gonna move on to wrestling. It's burning, ladies and gentlemen. It is crumbling before our eyes. The last week has been intense in the wrestling world. Even across the pond, a lot of stuff is changing. Like it's
Shut
almost
up.
it's almost leaves you speechless. So you're just like it was like every 4 hours when me and Danny was in Charlotte, it was like every 4 hours it was a new person. It was like, wait, who? What? Huh? So for those that have been living under a rock the past week,
Or don't watch wrestling and watch it and start watching it probably today.
well, regardless, listen, if you search that hashtag, was it hashtag speak out?
Speaking out,
Speaking out, that is a forum of you gonna learn today type of thing. So for those that have been living under the rock, if you have not, this week in wrestling has been very tough for I think everyone. There's been a lot of people coming out speaking their stories and their truths. in regards to, whether being sexually assaulted or feeling uncomfortable or being abused, and just different actions happening. Like you having wrestling promotions ending abruptly. You have people that have worked for those promotions deleting their social media and disappearing into the night.
You have people that appear on YouTube shows and now they're editing the episode or just deleting them off.
And what's crazy though? I think just in anything, when stuff happens, you're just like, oh, okay. It doesn't, not saying you're brushing it off, but when the shit hits home, which it did for us, we were like, oh, this is a problem. This is like danger. This is not good. So
Yup.
I want to go around, get your guys' thoughts on this week. Wrestling's burning. And what are some lessons that will come out of all of this? Because once again, when there's dark, there's light. And I think that, with all the bad that's happening, it's the purge in a sense. We're getting all the evil out. We're getting everybody's skeletons out of the closet for the most part. And it, I think, gives wrestling, whether it's independent, professional, whatever it is, it's giving wrestling kind of like that fresh breath
Cool.
that it kind of needs. So, who wants to go first? Talk about your thoughts. Talk about those situations that kind of caught you off guard. And then once again, what are some lessons that can come out of the rubble, in a sense?
Go ahead, Mr. Black.
You go first.
Oh,
No,
flip a
you
coin.
wanted to talk. You didn't. Okay. This is Genesis 1924. And those who are not familiar with the city, when the city burned down, and because of the things that were going on in that city, there's many stories behind it, but I see it as Sodom and Gomorrah, Genesis 1924. A lot has happened within the past week, and it's stuff that needed to happen. There had to be a culture switch, a culture change within wrestling. One of the biggest things I always talk about it is that wrestling is always late to the party. And if you understand what I'm trying to say is that in the real world, there's something called the Me Too movement. That happened, it's been happening the past like maybe 5 years, maybe, of constantly women coming out, talking about the abuse of power of many men within their industry, especially the entertainment industry. Also talking about cancel culture, which is something that's been going on in pop culture in the world for a very long time, for the past 3 or 5 years. Now it's affecting the world of wrestling. So the speaking out movement needed to happen because as locker rooms get filled with more women, you're gonna have men and women interacting with each other. So shit has to change. So you have intergender matches that are happening more rampant in independent wrestling. So people who are listening or watching this, in an independent locker room, the men and the women share the same locker room for the most part. The man is right next to the girl getting changed a lot of times. And within wrestling, a lot of times, a lot of these girls start at a very young age. So you will see a girl that's 17 on the card standing next to a fucking 35-year-old on the card. That's one. Another thing is, this is gonna sound fucked up. Some of these wrestling guys are fucking losers who never got asked before this. So now they're finally getting to some play because what entertainment does for you is put you in the light. It puts you in a place where you get more attention. And attention's a fucking drug. So you weren't getting attention before, now you're getting attention now, and then you're gonna use that power. This whole thing that's going on, the speaking out movement for men and women, is about power and the abuse of that power. That's what's currently going on in the professional wrestling world. there's many things we can speak about. I guess I don't know if you want to go into Sammy right now or you want to wait till after. But it's it's all kind of
Sammy.
Yeah.
Which Sammy?
Sammy Guevara.
Oh, so I was. There's Sammy Callahan. There's Sammy Zayn. Like, come on. You can't just hit me with a Sammy. What, nigga, say Sammy Guevara. Like.
Well. Speaking, if we're gonna touch on that situation, that's the cancel culture situation. Sammy did an absolute fucked up thing. Said an absolute fucked up thing. Rape culture is fucking real. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. About 2 weeks ago, I'm with a couple of friends from high school. We chopping it up, we're hanging out, whatever. And we're just talking about relationships and stuff like that. There's 5 of us in the room. Out of 3 of them, they told me that their girlfriends have been raped. A time in their life. So 3 out of the 5 people said that. So that's 60%. In a room with 5 people. What Sammy said was completely irresponsible. He got punished, and that's the point. Because you gotta learn. You have to learn because this shit is real. Especially when I'm talking about what I said before. The mere fact that now locker rooms have a man and a woman in the same locker room, the woman has to feel safe. And the man has to feel safe. Everybody got to feel safe and feel comfortable. And Sammy got the right treatment. They pulled that shit up. You were young. You were stupid. Fine. You get fined. You get suspended. And you must say sorry. Because what you did was wrong. I'll tell you another story. I was in 6th grade. Me and my boys are saying mad reckless stuff about women. The 2 girls in my class heard us saying that. They went to the teacher. The teacher was like, "You're not mature enough to go on on the overnight trip because of the things that you were saying." But I deserved that. Because if she swept it under the rug or said, "Okay, you said that thing wrong," I'm thinking that's okay.
That's okay.
So Sammy has to learn that, hey, I said that even though it was a while ago and I was young. Because also remember, Sammy graduated high school and went into wrestling. So that machismo, very macho type mindset was embedded to him at an early age of how to treat women. Because that's how wrestling is. And so he was already put into that. So now he has to learn. And obviously it hurts. He learned that. And then he talked to Sasha about it. We got to learn. That's just how we move in life. So Genesis 1924 is basically wrestling right now. It's going to burn. And it's going to rise from the ashes. New opportunities will appear. You just got to go through these rough patches because niggas got to learn.
Right.
And nobody's perfect here. Nobody's perfect here. Nobody that's doing this podcast right now is perfect. We all have skeletons in our closet, and we've all made mistakes. But we
not
gotta
those
learn
kind of
from
skeletons,
them.
Though. For those that are listening, not those kind of skeletons. We don't do that.
Yeah, but in general, people make mistakes, and people gotta learn. But people have to learn, and then take the punishment for it. But those UK dudes,
wild.
They gotta get a lot of them gotta get canceled. I have stories. I remember one time a chick slid into my DMs. She's flirting with me back and forth. And she's like, "Yeah, but I'm 17. Oh, you're 17? Delete." These UK niggas messing with 16, 17-year-olds, I know I think in their culture it's a little bit different when it comes to age.
It is.
Well, yeah, because look at kind of like Princess Diana when she married what's his name? They was like 25 years apart. Like they
yeah. But what are you
she was really young.
What are you talking about with a chick that's 16?
Absolutely nothing.
And the thing about it, the only reason why you holler at her because you can take full advantage of her. This whole situation is, like I said before, is about the abuse of power. And it's fucked up. That's why it's burning down right now, because you're abusing power. And maybe I went off on a tangent, but it's this shit that just really bothers me, because I got a sister. I have female friends like you. I don't want them to go through some shit like that.
Nah, I never.
Like,
I'm Teflon.
And the thing about it, I'm not the most perfect guy around girls, but I'm not gonna try to abuse my power and like you hear stories about dudes pushing a girl against a car, taking their hand and putting it down their pants. Like, nigga, you wild. And the thing about it, you ain't 21, 19 years old. You a 33-year-old grown ass man.
I got issues.
And the girl's like 17, 19. Like, what are you doing? But that's just my piece on it, and it's disgusting. But you gotta burn it down, build it back up. I like how Seth Rollins was burning down, not just the Messiah. I don't know. He was
The irony.
Jesus. The irony of all of this.
The irony in his whole gimmick change is crazy right now. Mrblacc, your thoughts on this week's Wrestling is Burning?
I talked to a few people who don't watch wrestling, because I feel like a lot of us who's so much into the culture tend to just overlook a lot of people, and we tend to just. Someone said in a group chat talking about. He said he was just like, "Oh, you don't know if these people are wrong. Da 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 da. They could be lying. Blah blah blah." I was just like, "Wow, you're hella insensitive to say what you were saying." I get it, but I just feel like at this point, I understand what you're saying, but like, little bit more sensitive what you're saying, because if it was your daughter, you wouldn't be asking no questions. You want to kill the person. You understand? And I'm just seeing how different responses, different people, how to respond to all of this. And I'm looking like, wow, even dudes that I didn't think nothing of, like, what's that dude's name? The one that be fighting niggas with his dicks.
Joey Ryan.
I was just like, seeing his character, we all gave him a compliment back and forth. Yo, he's original. That's what's up. But then just to hear him do what he did, I was just like, nasty, man. Like, what's wrong with you? And then
whole promotion gone. I've been wanting to go to bar wrestling show for the past 2 years.
Right,
I'm so mad.
Right. And after that, you hear even females, Jim Cornette's wife, talking about how she be taking advantage of these young girls, and like this.
He spoke about it, I think, on his podcast this week.
I listened to it, and when you go on Reddit, you hear
what did she
more
say?
Crazy stories.
Hold on, Mr. Black. What did she say?
No, he was talking about it like, I forgot what Zook was saying that he said. But he basically was kind of defending his wife and being like, listen, you should get all the facts before you sit here and judge people or sit here and say something.
Yeah.
That's kind of the gist of it.
Someone said, like, no wonder why he's so angry. Look how she looks. I was just like, I mean, wow. Who said that? It was, I'm not going to say names, because these people have a great podcast, and I'm going to leave it as that. I was like, wow, I mean, okay. It was hilarious, but it was like, okay, I get it. There's a lot of people, and one thing that really stood out to me was the Sammy and Guevara situation, where I understand what people are saying, but the fact that a young man should lose his job for something that he did 4 years ago, and to say that he should lose his job, his livelihood, he should cancel him out, he should never get work again, to me, that rubs the wrong way. Yes, what he said was wrong. And everything deserves a punishment, depending on what it is. Depending on what you did, if it's something bad, you deserve a punishment.
If the crime fits, then like the
the punishment should fit the crime.
Right.
What did he do again? What did he do again? So people who don't know.
He basically was on a podcast, and he basically was on a podcast, and then he said that I wanted to basically, rape Sasha Banks, and that's what he said, and I heard that, I was just like, dang, but it was a very bad joke he should never made. And
it was the wrong word.
Going on his YouTube, on his blog, and he was talking about that. He said, yo, I have grown in the last 4 years. And you literally watch him grow on AEW from October until now. He's come out with the panda suit. Now he come out with more professional. He come out very more serious. His whole swagger, his whole demeanor. Watching him on his shows, you're like, yo, this young man has grown up in the last year. And he said it, like, I'm not the man who I was. I used to make jokes that's for shock value. Can I relate for saying a lot of crazy jokes? Of course I can. Like, I'm a type of person when I was that age where, at that age, you are more reckless because you feel like nobody can touch you. Nobody can say nothing to you. You say something to me, I'm barking right back at you. So you are prone to say more reckless stuff. So everybody say, oh, he was a grown man. I'm looking like, yes, but he was just starting to become who he is. Because in 21, 22, 21, you may be grown in the law, but mentally, especially as a young man, you're not grown. A lot of stuff makes no sense to you. Like you start, like your brain fully developed at 25. A lot of people don't know that. So just to say for a young man like that just to get fired, that's not right. Suspended without pay and actually seeking help to actually understand where he's coming from. Basically teach him that what he's saying was wrong, to allow him to further become a better man. Yo, I'm for that. To lose his job, no, because
I don't think he lost his job.
No, he was saying like people were saying that he should be fired and blah blah blah.
To lose his job. Yeah, and everybody that I'm watching, everybody who's talking mad trash, I'm looking like, I know a lot of y'all have some scums in the car. Y'all may not have made that joke, but I know that y'all probably did something to somebody. Y'all probably cheated on the test. Just because it's not the same crime doesn't mean that nobody never did a crime before. And I know that some of you I'm looking like, come on, man, no one's perfect. But then when you said that, yo, he's a kid, leave him alone, people get on him. But I'm looking at it, I'm looking like, yo, y'all get on saying me like this, but yet y'all not getting on these other dudes that going so hard. Everybody just like, making excuses. And even go further back, something like Randy Orton, he has cases where he's showing his dick to people on the writing squad, blah, blah, blah. But everyone said, that's just Randy. He said the N-word, well, that's just Randy Orton. And I'm looking like, yo, y'all pick and choose who I want to quote unquote cancel. But the people who, according to the cancel culture rule book, y'all don't. But yeah, a young man who made a mistake 4 years ago, basically saying that I cannot grow from my mistake. And that to me is nasty because we live in a world where, a lot of us get a lot of information very fast. A lot of us grow up a little bit too fast and not learning certain life lessons and principles that we fortunately have to learn later on in life. So to end this off, no one's perfect. I'm not saying what these men did was right. And whatever they did, hopefully they get their just due. But if these young ladies who made up stories to lie on these young men, to lie on these people, to these people who made up stories to make certain people look bad to take away their job, shame on you. Because you definitely discredit the ones who actually are telling the truth. So, just to nip it in the butt, no one's perfect. If you want to cancel Sandy, cancel Vince. But nobody want to do that, right?
Oh, because he's Teflon Don. Ain't nobody canceling Vince McMahon.
Oh, nobody want to do that. Clearly, Dark Side of the Ring, everybody was laughing when, oh my gosh, he came like a boss.
I wasn't laughing. My man paid.
Not you. But everybody was cheering for that.
Paid the police off.
Right, but nobody want to cancel Vince for that, right?
Ain't nobody canceling Vince. Ain't nobody canceling Vince. And somebody tried to trickle down Brock earlier. I heard that. Ain't nobody canceling Brock Lesnar.
Exactly. But you want to cancel Sammy for a mistake he made 4 years ago. And he said something out of shock value. I'm not making excuses for him. It was totally wrong. So whoever want to cut up this clip and misquote me, it was wrong for him to say the joke. It was wrong for him to say the joke. I'm getting my Umar Johnson on. It was wrong for him to say that joke. Again, it was wrong for him to say that joke. But if you want to cancel him for making a joke 4 years ago that was completely wrong, then cancel Vince for the amount that he did. For saying the N-word, basically embarrassing Trish Stratus on television. Basically coming up with murder. I'm just saying, we want to keep the same energy, what about when all these allegations when the first official female referee got business and her history just erased because she accused Vince for sexual harassing her. But nobody want to talk about that, right? Won't cancel Vince for that, right? So keep the same energy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm just gonna keep it brief because y'all kind of went in and said most of the just. I think at the end of the day, it's just gonna be about accountability, and it's gonna be about how do we make the business safer, not only in the ring but outside of the ring. How do we make
What do
it
you think as a female?
like for what? Like, give me an example.
The speaking now. Let's address that. Are you the female? How do you think female in the wrestling business? That includes, in the ring, out the ring, podcasting,
I
whatever.
think if something has happened, it's hard for me because I'm the type where, like, honestly speaking, I would encourage whether it's my girl, like my girlfriend that I know for 20 years, or someone I just met in the ring. If I was privy to some information, I would encourage them to say something then and not wait 6-7 years. Granted, time heals. You may not be able to talk about it then, but then still on the flip side, we live in a world where the longer you wait, the less believable people gonna believe you, and people
She's
gonna
devil queens
side eye you. Like,
and
what you
discredit you.
mean? Like, this happened how long ago? Now, granted, it should never be like, you should never ignore whether it was 10 years ago or yesterday. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you just have to be mindful of when you do come out, like you said, Mr. Black, that's your truth. Speak your truth. Don't sit here and curate a story, whether it's male or female, against somebody where their whole livelihood could change at a blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, their whole life's work can be taken away for something, either there was a disconnect or miscommunication of something that actually didn't happen, but you're saying that it did. So you want to speak your truth at all times. And I think, especially now, I feel like we're in the age where there are a lot more female wrestlers. There's a lot more uptake in that. I commend women like Thunder Rosa turning her promotion into an all female promotion. I commend. There's a lady out in the UK that's now going to be an executive for a promotion in the UK because of what's going on.
I'm gonna say
I,
something
I
after.
I'm a firm believer of turning things that are negative into positives. And just because you have the victims, you can speak your truth but also teach people lessons as well, and you can also be a part of the solution. You don't want to just sit here and say, "Well, it's me." You need to sit here, not only say that, but say, "Listen, I'm stronger and I want to teach women that this has happened to, that it's okay to speak up for yourself." Like, you want to be able to have that balance. So granted,
So,
was certain people that came out, was it surprising? Yes. Certain people, not so much. Like, it was like, oh, I could believe that. But at the end of the day, my biggest thing is you're gonna have to speak your truth, regardless of who you are. Whether you are a cameraman or a ring announcer or someone in
a
catering,
podcaster.
like, yeah, whatever it is, speak your truth, and but only your truth. Don't sit here and curate something that can really not only damage you, but damage the person that you're going against too. So I once again, I commend all the women and males, because Keith Lee just came out talking about an incident that happened to him. I commend, because that's a lot of strength to say, like, this is what happened to me. But to those that are not really speaking their truth, I would rather you speak your truth than ruin someone's whole life. Because this
I
whole
gotta say something
cancel,
about that.
hold on, because this, I'll finish and then you could go. Because this whole culture shit is real. Someone will definitely cancel you tomorrow, and that will be it. I personally have seen someone that has worked the last year work her ass off, and one incident that happened a year ago where people have had a conversation, and you think that it's nipped in the bud, and then it comes back literally after you've had the biggest night of your entire wrestling career, and now to be put on a list of people to look at you, and now you feel like you can't even enjoy what you've enjoyed your entire life. So it's very you have to be careful with these kind of things because you don't, I would rather teach you a lesson than ruin your whole life because you never know. People are here today, gone tomorrow just because of what somebody said. And, it's just, to me, it's unfortunate when it hits close to home, and it has for us. So it's a lesson for us to just take a step back and be like, okay, this is what happened. We handle it, we deal with it. But then also, you just have to be mindful of the after effects that it has on people too. Because even to this day, the person that I know, she feels like she can never be in wrestling ever again. And someone that loves the business, loves wrestling, I would never want that for somebody. I would never want them to not feel like they can't be a part of something because of a mistake or something that you've apologized for and you thought you moved past, but you did. So you just got to be mindful. I'm all about taking accountability. The people that have done, shout outs to Impact. If you need to fire people, fire them. If you need to suspend people, suspend them. If you need to teach them a lesson, teach them a lesson. But my wish is I don't want those that are in the wrestling world to feel like they can't enjoy wrestling because that's not what this is about. And I've seen people write on social media like, I don't know if I want to wrestle again. I don't know if I want to be in the same locker room with people. Like instead of worrying about the actual issue, become a part of the solution. Figure out ways so that this type of stuff doesn't happen again, and that everybody, like Sir Wilkins says, everyone feels safe, male or female. So I want the wrestling community to get to band together and to be stronger because of this. Don't let this be the end all or be all. Because I definitely have seen people be like, I don't know if I want to be a part of wrestling. And I was like, then your silence speaks volumes, and that doesn't help the main focus of what it is. So I just want people to enjoy wrestling. You got to let it burn sometimes to let it really grow. Look at, I mean, not on the saddest thing, but look at what happened to, 9/11 here, where we had that unfortunate day. But we've built back up from that. And I
Yeah.
think that's just the
The
type of,
Freedom Towers. And look how
yeah,
beautiful
that's
that
just
is.
the type, I think, of mindset we all need to go into the rest of the year and 2021 and like forever. Is just don't let this be the end all or be all. Come out stronger, come out better than this. So go ahead, what you were gonna say, because then we're gonna move on to this week in wrestling.
The reason why I'm so passionate about people making false stories and accuse people because someone accused me for basically being sexually inappropriate with them. Um,
Damn,
it was basically a
Wow.
situation where I'm not gonna say names, but this is why I move the way I do. And if you realize that, why he's always by himself, why he's just like to himself, because like he don't talk to a lot of people, especially he stay away from a lot of females. Because honestly, I'm in a situation where I met a particular female, right? So I met her through one of my homegirls shows. So she was eyeing me, I was eyeing her, didn't say nothing about it, didn't think nothing of it. The next thing you know, I found her on a dating website. We ended up chilling, laughing. She ended up recognizing me from my homegirl Snap. Like, yo, I know you. I always see on your homegirl Snap. It's hilarious. I know I went to high school with her. All right, cool girl. So I'm living in Brooklyn, my old spot. So I used to live there, and then she came over one day, chilling, relaxing, blah 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 blah. She said, "I'm not trying to have sex." I'm like, "All right, I'm just trying to chill with you, see what's up, whatever." Right? That's it. Nothing went really past that. It wasn't really nothing that serious. The next thing you know, I didn't talk to her a couple of months. She just ended up just being mad and weird and distant. I was just like, all right, whatever. I'm moving on, moved on with my life. We started the podcast. Things was moving. I was losing weight. I was going a different direction in my life. I was going up and up. The glow up started happening. The next thing you know, my homegirl told me this incident. She out of nowhere, where she said, "You sure nothing happened to you and her?" I'm looking like, "Nah." I told her exactly what happened. Like it was a little more detailed, but like this is like this is just like you heard of the story, but basically nothing really went down at all. She's like, "You sure?" I'm looking like, "Yeah, nothing of it." And she was just like, "I gotta tell you something." So happened the girl hit her up, right? Asking her, no, she hit up the girl like, "Oh, I like your smile, blah blah blah." Then the girl said, "How's Charlie doing?" "Oh, he's good, man. Yeah, that's what's up. He's doing his thing. He started a podcast." oh, I gotta tell you something. Like the time I went to his house is when Tori left. She told a whole story that I was tight because she didn't give me head. I was forcing her to do weird, like inappropriate things, this, that, and third. And I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at my homegirl, and tears in my eyes. I was just like, you know me, you know that how that I'm not no nasty dude. Like I treat every girl with
You
single
really,
respect.
you really are. You
And
mad vanilla.
Compared to you,
like,
yeah.
yo, I that motherfucker girls, queens and everything. I'm mad respectful. This, that, and third, super respectful. And then I'm crying. I'm looking like, how did this girl do this to me? I did nothing to her. All of them just something good to her. Like she needs something to eat, I got her. She needed weed, I got her. I never respected her. If you didn't want to talk to me, just say I didn't want to talk to him. But you didn't have to throw dirt in my name. So this is why I am the way I am today because I'm not trying to get me too. Like instantly, like this is why I'm very careful with females because months later, years later, they can say that, oh, Yardley was Mrblacc was with me and then he touched me inappropriately, da 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 da, this, that, and third. I'm looking like, nah. So I kind of stay away from everybody. So this is why I'm so anal about like, don't lie on people. Because if you lie, everybody gonna look at the cover story because it's sexy, but nobody gonna read up the follow-up story because it's not as sexy. They put you on the front cover. This person is a rapist, got accused of this. But when a person is wrong, you put a little bit of article this big and say this person was acquitted. I ain't playing that. That's why I tell everybody: do not lie. You can ruin lives. You can ruin people's life because that's not funny. And me just thinking about it getting me tight because that can ruin my life. You know,
Well
who
then,
the
yeah,
like
shit. Good thing you told us the story now, because like if our podcast blow up and this shit pop up, we'd be like, oh, we knew that, and that was a lie. Like,
lying, lying,
Um,
lying.
um, I think I kind of got to say this because Janelle mentioned something, and I want to touch on it before we go on this week in wrestling. You mentioned about people not speaking up right away, and it's a good point that you raise. But a lot of times I speak about this on the podcast about how political wrestling is, and a lot of times on a card, not as recent, but on a lot of card, there's only one girl on the card. I'm sorry, two girls on the card. And that girl has her spot. And let's say something were to happen to her and she does speak up, she loses her spot. And
Yep.
she's banned out of wrestling. She's given a reputation as being difficult to work with. And all she did was just say, this nigga was touching me. This nigga was a perv. And for a lot of these women and men, some men, they have to play the political game of they can't speak up. So sometimes when something like this is going on, they feel more powerful because it's like, yo, everybody else is talking. I can finally say my truth in this situation. I can finally talk about it because now it won't look as weird. Because if I say something, I won't be thrown in the trash. And
It's
this is something that
numbers.
goes, yeah, it's powers and numbers, but it's something that goes on across the board when it comes to different type of professions. Where a woman tries to speak up or a guy that something is wrong and they get blackballed. And I've heard this story numerous times. I have homegirls who will talk, who will speak up about something in wrestling, and they get blackballed low key because wrestling is all about this politics. Because if I'm the booker, I can tell you, I make the moves. I put people in position. And like I said, a lot of times there's only two or three girls on that card, and they're gonna be like, "Yo, I don't fuck with her. I don't fuck with her, so I'm not gonna put her on the card because so and so says she's bad to work with." But the reason why she's bad to work, yeah, because the reason why she's bad to work with is because
she was
he exposed you. Exactly.
She ain't trying to do a nastiness to advance her career. No.
See,
Exactly.
but that's the unfortunate part. It's a catch-22 because the thing is that what sometimes I don't like is when everybody jumps on the bandwagon and it's like, oh, hot tag, hot tag, hot tag. That's to me sometimes it's a little bit more difficult because I would rather you be the leader and start the movement than being the follower of the movement sometimes.
Some people
And
can't do that.
no, and I understand that, but my thing is that if you thought you could, if you say, let's say somebody said their story and then they blackballed from wrestling or whatever, and then years down the road, they could still be blackballed just because that people don't want to take that risk and take that chance. You know what I mean? So it's such a catch-22 for a lot of people because it's almost a damn if you do, damn if you don't. So I get the whole like now it like, oh, now it's the time, hashtag is going on. But then you got a lot of people, then you on the flip side got people that will try to bandwagon and create a story and say some
Yeah.
shit that didn't happen.
No, yeah, but the thing is, it's one of those like you just gotta. I always believe you're innocent until proven guilty. I thoroughly believe in that. And if the evidence is there, because if there's smoke, there will always be a fire.
Absolutely.
Like, and you guys know my ex-girlfriend like literally tried to get me locked up and lied
That
about
hoe.
some shit.
That stupid hoe.
But the thing is,
And y'all know I'm so bad about nobody.
the case was thrown out. And the thing about it, she came down to the precinct, to the court, and then said he didn't do anything because she knows she was lying. So I always believe let's say the people who are involved, who are getting lied on, they'll make it. They'll make through this. They'll make it through.
Yeah.
Because I thoroughly believe like they'll be okay, but the ones that are lying need to be punished. I mean, the ones that are lying need to be punished, and the ones who are actually doing this messed up thing need to be punished as well. So
I mean, be held on both sides.
Right, and I think at the end of the day, it's about accountability. It's about you stepping up to the front and saying, yeah, like how, and that's something I would respect with Sammy. He was like, yeah, I did it. I fucked up. My bad. Like he.
Yeah, and the one thing, and the one thing that I applaud about him, that everybody who wanted him to be fired are not saying this, and I'm getting upset a little bit. I'm looking like he talked to the person that he offended, and I said this. If you go back, I said, yo, you need to educate him. And what did Sasha did? She didn't destroy him. She educated. Matter of fact, she didn't come at him as Sasha. She came at him as a human being first. Because she understands that this is a sensitive topic. And she understands that because Sasha understands that.
And I don't think she took it. I don't think she took it which way. She understood. Because once again, you know, we always talk about. Well, not only been around that, but we always talk about people's tone. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So, like, not for nothing, the way he said it was just, you could tell, like, he was joking, but it was a terrible joke. He shouldn't have said, that was the wrong word. Like, he would have said, I want to fuck Sasha Banks. Definitely don't think that we would be having this conversation.
But then again, I'm making excuses for it. And this is why that shout out to Brilliant Idiots, Charlemagne Podcast, they said it. You cannot judge people. You cannot judge people past mistakes on today's standard. You understand? Because during that time, it was okay to make those jokes. But this is why he didn't get in trouble for it. But in today's standards, you know, you cannot make that joke. You should never make that joke, period. Even in the past, the climate was way different. Like, look at Eddie Murphy. They made a big deal because he was using the F word. You know, that rhymed with Saget, you know? And him using that word, people got offended. Now, use that word that I'm looking like. But the standard then was different. He was allowed to do something like that. So you cannot judge people back in the day. You can't judge today's standards to back in the day at all. You feel me? Because back in the day, it was okay to have slaves. You know? But today it's not.
I'm yes or no on that one. You have a good point. But still, he has to learn.
Yeah, no.
Even though you did that in the past, now it's like, okay, you did that in the past, but we got to make sure that you never do this again.
I'm fine with that.
So learn what it is. But also, if you saw Swole's tweet, somebody tweeted at Swole, and they're like, have you ever felt uncomfortable about him in the locker room with you? And what did she say? No. I've never felt uncomfortable with being around him. I asked another female who's been in the locker room with him, and she was like, nah, I mean, he's always been cool and nice to me.
See?
So
So I
He
heard no
has
cases
grown.
about him. I heard no cases bad about Sammy. Even like before AEW, they always say, "Yo, Sammy's cool." People are so hyped got to set AEW, male, female. No stories came out. You don't think that if he's really like about that nasty James Ellsworth life, you think that he can sign to AEW? That's what I'm saying. People said that you only need to vet people. Like, you don't think the young bunch of them did their homework? They've been around the indies. They've been around, so they know who. Like, they have an idea. So, yeah.
Well. Remember when Homeboy had an issue with Billy Gunn? I don't know if y'all remember.
Who had an issue with Billy Gunn?
We spoke about it in the. I'm not gonna say the dude's name. He was on AEW. He knocked the person out, and then Billy Gunn was like, "This guy has a very bad reputation."
Oh, yes.
Yeah, see, yeah, light skin Dipset. So
Bird game all day.
yeah, but it's a. I'll tell you later off mic.
Listen, it's all
But
about people energy, and it's all about people being
yeah,
accountable for themselves.
exactly, because because when you have a bad reputation, it follows you. It does follow you within
It's
the
like a
industry.
skunk. Your ass
It
think,
goes
your
back.
ass think.
It goes back to the politics thing. So if a bunch of people say that they don't like you, they're not going to want to work with you. Like, you have to be on some godly level of talent. But one more thing, because I know we have to move on. The reason why that was pulled up, the Sammy thing.
Yeah, why?
That was random.
So the reason why it was pulled up was because last week, was it last week? Yes. Sammy wrestled the same time as Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch.
Oh, and the
Oh,
ratings.
yeah.
They beat that match beat them in the ratings.
That match beat them in the ratings, and they were having like
friendly banter. Yeah, it was mad chill
yeah.
laughter.
Yeah, that's what it was. So they had a friendly rivalry between the four because Chris Jericho was on it as well. So it's Lex guy, whatever.
The sex gods.
The sex gods?
The sex god, yeah. The sex god versus Sasha Banks and Bailey. So they were going back and forth on that one, like a little friendly rivalry. And then I guess one of the fans pulled it up.
They pulled up receipts. Damn.
Yeah, because that's how cancel culture is.
But you really
Like,
got to be looking for something. That's just like remember when Kevin Hart was supposed to host the Oscars and he was gonna be the second black host of the Oscars or some shit after Chris Rock or something.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Was
So
it Eddie
remember
Murphy
that?
or Chris Rock?
I think it was Chris Rock.
It was Chris Rock. I think it was Chris Rock. Yeah.
But regardless of the fact, remember when Kevin Hart was supposed to host the Oscars and someone pulled up
a tweet,
some comedy thing he did almost 10 years ago from that time.
It was 6 years ago during the time,
where he talked about the gays. And it just was like, bro,
what are you doing?
What's that? That's just like, especially him being a comedian. Like, it's just kind of, it's that blur line. But it was just like, he's about to make, I hate when niggas is about to make history and people try to fucking ruin that shit. That shit aggravates me. Don't do that shit.
Honestly,
he was going to be, hold on, because I had to pull up the facts real quick. He was going to be the 5th host of the Oscar, black person. So the first person was Sammy Davis Jr., Richard Pryor, Diana Ross, and Whoopi Goldberg. Then it was Chris Rock. But Chris Rock was like in 2005.
That was like 20 years ago. That was almost 20 years.
Yeah, so yeah, he was basically the second black person in New Millennium.
Correct. And he was about to make history. And that's what I'm saying. I hate when people see the come up and see the glow and see that this man's been working. He started from the bottom, now we here. And now you want to pull us some shit and try to get him canceled.
And to find old tweets, it takes
That's
work.
Mad energy. That's mad energy that I don't have.
How to go through every
honestly speaking, if anyone has said some shit about us at the Job and Tears podcast, just at us, because we not gonna spend no time looking at old shit. We just not gonna do it.
They don't add us. You know what they do? They go to their little group. Their little Facebook groups, talk mad trash. They will take our clips, put it in those Facebook group, talk mad trash about us, and say, we're coons, this, that, and third, blah, 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 this, that, and third. Oh, we this, we don't know nothing, this, that, and third. But you've been watching my clips. How do I know that? I see the stats.
Well, we always appreciate whether you like us, love us, or hate
I
us.
love hate watching.
We appreciate everyone that watches this podcast. I just want to put that cheap plug in. But all right, gentlemen, real quick, let's go around robin. What are 2 things this week in wrestling that really just stuck out to you the most?
For me, my son, freshly squeezed, Orange Cassidy.
Him bleeding. I didn't expect that. I was like, oh.
And people may say that, he's trash, this, that, and third. But he didn't say no words. All about his actions, his body language, how he turned up, how he went through it was just like, and the fact that Jericho is doing his job to get over the young talent right then and then, and no championships, nothing. Hopefully Orange Cassidy
the only one.
Hopefully, Orange Cassidy wins, but to see Orange Cassidy in that position, excellent. One of my second ups was Raw. I finally figured out.
I thought Raw was good this week.
Yeah, you do the second up. My second one was Raw. I finally
A lot of melon on Raw.
I realized Bruce Pritchard's method of getting people over is, I say this, right? This is my conclusion. This is how I feel about Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard is Vince's Paul Heyman, but both of them have 2 different ways to do television. Paul Heyman believes that I want to get people over through matches. Bruce Pritchard believes that I want to get much people at screen just by them talking. Matches are shorter, but it's more behind, backstage and stuff like that. And people feel like, Bruce, he won't do a good job. But he's more, his style of directing is aligned with Vince. People say, he's Vince's puppet. But I see it this way. When somebody's making a business or somebody is trying to create something, right? You need people around you who will able to translate what you're trying to say, but still be able to put their flavor into it to perfect what you're trying to say. And honestly, Bruce Pritchard is the best person for that job to get vision, to get Vince's vision across that screen. Because honestly, before Bruce came, when Vince was running it, Raw was inconsistent. It was terrible. The pacing was bad. But when Bruce took over, okay, you see Vince's vision like wow, this is very well paced. And again, like I said before, it's 2 different styles to the same exact goal. And both of them had the ears to the streets, aka the internet community, because Bruce still does his show. You don't think that Bruce hears the streets talking about him? Bruce used to call people on his phone for every person who bought his T-shirt. So Bruce is ears into the street, dogs. He's in there, man. He's in the gutter with these internet fans. He goes to shows. He hears them. He hears them. Paul Heyman don't really go to these shows like that, like Bruce been going. He been going to these shows for years. So I give it up because Bruce is actually doing something. Like right now, it's all about the now. And his approach is, I'm going to get the veterans more run. Paul Heyman's approach is more, I'm going to get these young gunners out here first. It's going to take a while. I wish that Paul Heyman had more time to execute his 18-month plan, but it's all for the best because you don't want to argue with somebody every single week about your company that you made from the ground up. Yes, some of the stuff you may say may be crazy, but that's why Bruce is here. He's more comfortable. And Bruce had a lot of good storylines in TNA and WWE. Well, WWE he did. He was actually there, help with the whole Kane versus Undertaker storyline that everyone loves so much. He was there for a lot of different hands-on with different events and different other storylines I can't think of right now in WWE. So to everybody who want to hate Bruce Pritchard, want to get on him, please do your homework on the guy and actually give the guy a real chance. And stop looking at Paul Heyman like he's the savior of wrestling, this, that, and third. Because there's a lot of failed Paul Heyman.
That makes me want to watch OJBL shit.
Nobody will give that man credit. Bruce Pritchard was hands-on with that. You took a character that was basically like I wouldn't say a joke.
First of all,
he was one
JBL
way.
went through so many different characters. It's mad funny, actually.
And the fact that he's able to like produce a heel, like a real like something he said
Because JBL started being
himself.
himself.
Start being himself.
That's really what it was.
That's it. But overall, my down, I have to say is, I'm sorry. It's not really a down. It's kind of like a disappointment down. That NXT main event, it was too obvious that Keith Lee's going to win, man.
I actually did not think he was going to win, actually.
Like, I kind of knew he was going to win because think about it. It's typical WWE booking. You beat up the big man, this, that, and third, and then he gets coming.
But that's the comeback story. But I honestly didn't think he was going to win.
But to me, it felt too predictable. I saw it a mile away. It was a good match, but it was just like, it didn't really stick to the ribs like that, B. Like, it was just like, okay, it was satisfying, you know? It was satisfying. I was kind of like, dang, I missed my favorite show, AEW, to watch this, but I get it. Another up is, Big Swole making the best of opportunity on screen.
Honestly speaking, that's the best rivalry that AEW has.
One for the women, yeah. And honestly, it goes what the golden rule of wrestling. Make every moment count. She was on screen for like a couple of minutes, if that, and those moments, she made it count. He was like, "Dang, it's hilarious." He felt you like this is the most. I feel like we know her. We talked to her. We had I had dinner with her one time, and how she is now, I feel like she's comfortable in AEW. I'm like, yeah, this is a big swole. And honestly, when she gets that championship, I know Big Swole gonna take that championship over the top. Nia Rose did a good job. Don't get me wrong. She didn't have a chance. She didn't have a chance. I mean, she had a good job the few times she was on screen. So she did what she had to do. But I know Big Swole is gonna pick up the ball and keep on running with it. I believe in Big Swole.
I mean, of course we're gonna believe in sis. Like that's just an obby. So real quick, a few ups and downs from this week of wrestling. Outside of wrestling burning to the fucking ground.
So a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. One, I want to touch on Orange Cassidy, but not the way my brother was talking about him. I love hearing people who don't watch wrestling to bring stuff up about wrestling. Because you can see if something's really over or not. And us as wrestling fans, we're in this bubble, and a lot of us are really smart about wrestling, so we think too much. And where I'm going about it as this is that I was in a group chat with a bunch of friends who don't watch wrestling. It's like an Instagram group chat, whatever. And one of them sends me like 2 clips of Orange Cassidy. But it wasn't like Orange Cassidy of like the clips were from a wrestling Instagram. It was like a random, like one of those funny meme Instagrams. And they all were like, "Yo, Wilkins, who the fuck is this?" And I started laughing. I was like, "It's Orange Cassidy, Freshly Squeezed." And they were like, "Yo, does he fight like this all the time?" There was a couple of clips with his hand in his pocket, all that other time. I was like, "Yeah, kinda, yeah, but he really actually knows how to wrestle. He actually knows how to work." They're like, "Yo, I think I might start watching wrestling to see more of him." So, and then it's funny because after that was early in the day. Then when I watched AEW, he has the fight with Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing was Santana and Ortiz private party.
Yo, I really was screaming HOG in my house. I'm not even gonna hold you.
So I'm at the crib. I'm at the crib yesterday. The same thing, and my homegirl who works in the business, she calls me up. She's like, "Yo, hey, I saw your clip on the IG about AEW. I would like you to talk a little bit more about what you think about AEW." And I'm going through what my kind of our version of ups and downs. Like I'm giving her my 5-point thing that needs to be improved. And I was like, the tag team division is really shitty. Like they're not really using Santana Ortiz. They have Private Party there. What's wrong with their tag team division? I
They
turn on
have
the TV.
pieces, they don't know what to do with it half the time.
I turn on the TV and I see that. I was like, okay, they're really working something. Then I mentioned to her, I was like, yo, you have this black talent that you're not really using. Like, what's going on with Sunny Kiss? I scrolled through my Instagram. And
hey, yo, Baltimore. I ain't gonna front. He had the poo poo shots.
Yo, I was like, yo, how can I get them shorts? I was very like, where them shorts at?
Everybody.
And that skit with him beat up people.
Hold on.
Classic. And then
hold on. So
I'm like, wow.
So people who are listening and watching, go on AEW on TNT's Instagram. They have an IGTV video of Sunny Kiss, Joey Janela, and they're in the car. They stop at a gas station. They're at the gas station. It's kind of funny and really good at the same time.
Yo, it's mad funny.
So then Joey's like, yo, I'm about to go get some snacks inside the gas station. You put some gas in the car. They had a fire car too. I forgot what kind of car it was. So Sunny
down, chrome spinning.
So we'll post on the Job It's His Instagram, but basically Sunny Kiss is pumping the gas. Like 4 guys randomly come out of a car like, yo, hey, what's up? And they jump Sunny Kiss. And as they're jumping Sunny Kiss, Joey Janela's oblivious inside the convenience store. He's buying
buying mad shit, trying shit like, oh, let me get this.
He's trying on sunglasses. He's buying He's like, you got any burritos? And then he comes out, and then Sunny Kiss and Joey Janela beat up the guys.
Yo,
it's a great little skit, and I really appreciate it because I'm like, seriously, literally 4 hours before, me and my homegirl on the phone, because she's in the business, she's like, what do you think? And I mentioned Sunny Kiss by name. I was like, what are they doing with him? And then that rose up. So my up is I can see AEW really is slowly starting to do things.
And this is why I watch AEW
in their company.
Honestly, this is why I watch AEW over NXT, because if I'm going to give a fair assessment when the year is up in October, I have to be fair. And I'm not going to lie, like, at first, they're very top-heavy in the tag team division, but honestly,
they still are.
It's very top-heavy, but that's a good thing, Like, definitely 4 guys are getting over compared to 2 guys. Come on, dogs. And each of them go down the road, go to the individual route. They had, like, the tag division is very good. Like, oh my gosh, like, there's so much plus about the tag division. Yes, there's some stuff that
because they have the best tag. They have the best tag team division in wrestling right now.
Yeah, but I can say that some stuff they do need to correct. But the one thing I have to give it up to AEW, they are trying. And when I say by trying, they are doing every little stuff week by week. Camera angle got better, the cuts got better. What else? The presentation got better. Commentary is way better. They flow so much better. Like, yo, JR and his jokes, I be laughing. No. It got better compared. I don't know about you because I watch every week, literally. And I could tell that before I hated commentary. Now I love it. The commercials, a lot better. The picture-in-picture, they cut it out a lot less because they realized it took too much away from the show. I love that. So, honestly, like my brother said, like, they trying. They didn't have to put Joey Janela and Dempsey together. Yes, they lost, but they lost. It was like they lost in a very good way that you want to see what they're going to do next.
They're getting better, but they still need to improve their style of TV wrestling. That's something that needs to be done, and that will take time. I didn't have a problem with the Keith Lee match. I think we kind of overlooked Keith Lee in the black community a little bit. What he's doing within the community is something that we don't really like give him praise for. Like, literally, the guy's an older dude. He's an older wrestler, and he's finally getting his shine. He had the Black Lives Matter on his gear. He's been part of every movement. He's speaking up about a lot of stuff, what's going on. He's he's very active and can fucking wrestle.
Listen,
He
he
can,
could be the first dual champion in NXT.
yeah, like the dude is doing a major come up. Like since Survivor Series, was it Survivor Series? Yes, Survivor
Survivor
Series.
Series, then Rumble, when he did the face
He's
off with
been
Brock.
hot.
Because
Yeah,
listen, I'm still signing
he's
me up
been
for that.
hot. He's been hot, and I know a lot of times us as black wrestling fans we complain about that black wrestlers are underutilized, but they've been fully using this guy and making him into a superstar in NXT. Say what you want to say, but he's being used, and we need to stop overlooking him when we speak about black wrestlers. We do look at him, but I don't think we give him enough. Because in the independent scene, this guy was a fucking star as well.
I heard.
Real quick, I'll go up. I'm sorry. Say what you want about Bray, but the shit with Bray and Braun is dope. Period. The fact that, and you know what, even though it sprinkles a Mick Foley that comes out for me, I don't give a fuck. He could beat the three faces of fucking Bray Wyatt. I'm cool with the shits. Because it makes sense. And for the fact of the matter is that even Bray, I think he tweeted or he said something where it seemed like he was going to try to recreate the Wyatt family to destroy Braun. Like, I'm just like, I'm here for it. I want to see more. Sign me up. Cool. Another up. Let me see. I think it was with AEW. Oh, honestly, it's the Colt Cabana and Dark Order shit that I actually really enjoy.
Man.
And it's because I think Colt's gimmick is trash. So I think the whole shift in it, and Dark Order gives me that Ministry of Darkness. Like I'm gonna convince you to turn a new leaf. And the fact that Luke Harper, because that's always gonna be Luke Harper for me. He, had the conversation with Colt. He had the conversation with Colt, like, listen, my friend, I'll show you how to win. Like, we will win all the time. I was like, oh shit. That shit, wow. So that was an up for me. The whole Colt and Dark Order thing, I actually really enjoy. Another up is, of course, I think MVP is the MVP of Raw. I really don't care what anyone says or thinks. I think that MVP literally is saving the last hour of Raw every fucking week. Because as everyone knows, that third hour is the struggle hour. And the fact that this week they switched it up because typically sometimes he may be at the beginning of Raw. He was towards the end of Raw. He was in the third hour. So it was that, and then him interviewing Apollo Crews, and then Shelton's involved, and then Bobby's involved. I'm just like, listen, if all these black niggas don't get together and create something, I'm gonna have a problem. I'm gonna have a whole issue with this. Whole issue. So I like what MVP's doing. Keep it up. I don't agree with fucking Ziggler getting a title shot just because you got traded. I don't know what the fuck that's about. But whatever.
Put some respect on Ziggler's name.
But come on. You and I both know. No. You get traded and then you want to bring up some old shit like, guess what? What were they? The tag team champions before? Like, oh, we were. If anybody believes in you, it's me. Speech to get a title shot. Come on.
Yes.
That's stupid.
Put some respect on Ziggler's name. Always been a fan of Ziggler. Ziggler's the man. We took a picture with him.
We did take a picture with him. We did. But that shit is stupid. Not really. Last but not least, it's the down for me is, listen, I need Brandy Rhodes to be the black wife that we all know she could be.
Shorty throws
water on my man, and I'm just like,
you saw Brandy.
I was like, and then you tried to knock if you buck for like 2.5 seconds, and you didn't do anything. Like I was just like, what?
You baby powder.
I was very disappointed in Brandy this week because I was just like, listen.
Disappointed.
How did you expect that from her? Did y'all really expect that from her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's somebody, that's like that's actually a really bad example because I'm like, if your shorty, somebody threw water on you, it's a wrap, and that's just how it should be.
And she's crazy too.
But that's not her character.
Tomato.
Come on.
You can't be out here and your husband is the TNT champion, the first ever TNT champion. You look wild pussy to some Jack Swagger fucking wife.
What the fuck, man? Like his name is Jack
But-
Swagger.
Come on.
Come on, Jack
Come on.
Swagger.
And then on top of
First
that,
of all,
wait, but then on
wait,
top
wait.
of that,
Hold
wait.
on.
Then on top of that, both them niggas got lists. So you really gotta hear what the fuck both of them are saying. Like I was listening to the press conference, like, okay, let me read Cody's lips because if I can't read his lips, I don't
It
know what the
wasn't
fuck
bad.
he's
I understand
saying.
everything he said. He got better at speaking wise.
Them lists, and I was like, both of them got it. I said, oh Lord, fix it. But no, Brandy got that hold down for me. Like, no, bitch, you supposed to be the wife.
She
This
gotta
bitch
hold
throws water.
herself.
You need to
She
grow
gotta
up.
hold
You need to
herself.
crawl across the table and go yank
throw
her.
a shoe. Throw a shoe
Go
or
yank
something
her.
like that.
Go
Throw a
yank her.
shoe. Yo, your whole
Because I
Y'all
put
giving her
money.
way too
Your
much
I
whole
put money though. Miss Elizabeth wasn't gonna let niggas throw water in Randy's face. Actually not.
Matter of fact, Sherry Martella never did that.
She's
Come
crazy
on,
though.
B.
That's a little different.
All
But
right. Yo, your homegirl was
Charmel wasn't gonna let nobody disrespect Booker T.
Oh my God, Queen.
No.
I'm sorry, Queen Charmel would never have done that.
Maurice
Even
ain't letting bitches throw water at Mike.
Of course, even Stephanie would not do that.
Stephanie is definitely not letting no bitch throw water at Trick.
My thing is this, yo, Brandy, you had QT Marshall girl. Y'all could have jumped her, which I watched her. Oh,
right, like
That's
she
your
played
problem,
victim,
Brandy.
and that shit just blew
That's
my.
your
I said,
problem.
oh, come on.
Brandy, you see, Brandy Rose, she been hanging out with, Catherine too much. That's the problem,
Y'all give her too much credit.
You need to hang out with a Shaniqua. Like, come on.
Thank you.
First of all,
or Jazz.
First of all, his name is Jack Hager, not Jack Swagger.
Jack Swagger.
I
said what I said.
Number two,
Jack Swagger.
Y'all giving Brandy Rose way too. Yo, I'm done.
It's the truth. Listen, I'm not giving her too much credit. I just want better, and I want her to step up. Like, cause bitch, keep that same energy. Because when this match happens, and you think you want to attack Jack Swagger's wife at that moment, I'm gonna be mad because I'm like, bitch, it should have happened at that fake ass press conference. Don't do that.
Thank you. Keep the same energy.
Keep the same energy.
Right? Yo, son, keep that same energy. The same exact way you could have done something in front of all those reporters. Don't show up in front of the audience for ratings. Show it off. Dang, man.
So upset. But anyway, that's a wrap for this week in wrestling, guys. Any last words for our last kind of quarantine episode of the Java Tears podcast? I'm super excited to get back to the studio so that it could be, the sound could sound better, the video could be better, everything could be better. Any last words?
I miss Spencer. What's his name? Spencer, right?
Spencer.
Our engineer.
Oh, Spence, yeah.
I missed him.
Who was there when you went? Wilkins, who was there when you went?
I wasn't there.
Oh, for real? I thought the picture that they took, you took.
No.
All right, then. Forget it, though. Any last words before we do sign off? Say our farewells.
I'm going to be on the show tomorrow. Talks Champs. We talking about old school versus new school. I'm about to revile this light skin nigga tomorrow.
Yo, don't he look like Ricochet though?
Yes. Yo. Yeah. Bounce.
Yo, he's dying. Cause now I can't.
You see what I did there?
Yes, unfortunately, but I can't unsee what Ricochet. So that'll be what.
You look like Ricochet. You're like, no. He's a good brother though. Like yo, the show Talks and Champs is a very good show though. But his argument that the old school is better, he must not know about Mr. He must not know about me.
I don't think no one knows about you like that. So you're the surprise element of the group. But anyway, so catch Mr. Black on Talk is Champ podcast.
Looking at you.
I was like, I wasn't sure if that was what it was. But check him out there. Sarah, because you have anything coming up this week before we do sign off?
No.
Last but not least, I do want to just acknowledge literally everyone in the community, wrestling community, whether you're a podcast wrestler, ring announcer, promoter, owner. You matter. We cannot do anything of this sort without you guys. So it's always a thank you to you guys. Thank you to everyone that has been hanging in with us during quarantine, during COVID-19 days. This has not been easy for any one of us, but we wanted to.
Shout out to Simon Miller, Leo Rush. There are people who
We
did
we made some moves during quarantine. So the one thing we always wanted was we wanted to keep, you guys entertained, and we wanted to keep the content rolling. So
even on
hopefully
IGTV, like me
the
and my brother's
Mrblacc
interviews that we
show,
did,
the 5-on-5 with Sir Wilkins, like we wanted to just make sure that
they
granted
won't stop though. They will continue.
they will continue. They're going to be additions to our brand. But once again, we want to thank everyone that's been hanging in with us from day one. We just made how many members in the Facebook group?
Over 1,800.
1,800 members in the Jabba Podcast Network Facebook group. So once again,
we're almost 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Woo! So, we're making some moves even during quarantine. So we want to say thank you to everyone that's been hanging with us, that's been rocking with us. We appreciate you. We love you. Hopefully, once New York City decides to start opening up, we'll go back to viewing parties and then all that sort. But once again,
first
thank
viewing
you.
party is gonna be epic.
It's gonna be wild. Just let no one do any inappropriate things. Please and thank you. As always, I'm Janelle from Make Sure I Hear with Sir Wilkins and Mrblacc. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. Catch us next week in studio. #Black Excellence. #we are out.
I was over, got the hands in motion. If you go with rolling, no need to focus. Traveling states and over oceans. You gotta wait till your coast chosen. Trying to have lines outside the show like Harry Potter releases at Barnes and Noble.